Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Zoomer Julia's apartment in beautiful Lugano, Switzerland. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Walk on Wednesday. Kaustubha is live in beautiful Assisi. Padre Kaustubha, fearing his conversion to the Catholic Church. See, he already did the Jesus mudra. How are you, Kaustubha?
I'm doing great. I had to check out, of the place I'm staying at. So I'm out here outside. I'm at the Basilica de San Chiara.
You know what? I hear you great. It doesn't. The outsideness is not ruining the quality of the sound.
Okay.
It's very picturesque. You're looking good. Your Italian roots are coming through. And
All right.
most of all, you don't just sightsee. You sightsee to spiritual places of pilgrimage.
I tell you, this place is incredible. It's beautiful. It's very beautiful here. And yesterday I went to the what we would call the Samadhi of San Francesco. Like his tomb.
The tomb.
Have you been there?
Yep.
Beautiful and very holy space there. So nicely done, and you can really feel his presence there. So all the beautiful, incredible place, all kind of beautiful paintings, each one representing some deeply meaningful pastime of his.
Do you pray?
Do
you pray?
Yeah, don't you?
I pray.
Okay.
I pray all the time. I'm like a Christian prayer guy. Do you go into like these churches and pray? I'm curious.
Commonly or like right now?
No, like right now, while you're there, while you're in there, do you say a prayer?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What do you pray for?
Well, we get in person, huh? I mean, really, my prayer is, if I'm guess you put me on the spot, so I got to kind of share. But it's really to embody that mood of St. Francis. I mean, he really had that Samadarshana. He loved all creatures. And he was just very simple. And I thought, actually, I got this book. Don't get worried. I'm not converting or anything, but I got this book, The Lessons of St. Francis.
It's over, Mara. It's over.
How to bring simplicity and spirituality into your daily life. It's by these Franciscan monks, John Michael Talbot and Steve Rabe.
Is it ancient or like?
No.
Are there still monks there?
Current.
Are there still monks there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course. I mean, this is like, ground zero for Franciscan monks. But, I mentioned, I think I mentioned yesterday, but, Alice, Alice just, I tell you, what a wonderful person. A daily Zoomer, from Italy that we had met, in at the Eco Village, back when we had our last get together there a year and a half ago. And she just out of the devotion of her heart, she just hosted my wife, Gita Priya, and myself, took us to Assisi, showed us all around, just took care of us in every way. And it was really, I told her, it was like, I don't know if anyone's ever given us such a thoughtful gift before. It was really something, incredible hospitality and kindness on her part. And in any case, so we've been trying to understand the mood of St. Francis, trying to understand the mood of San Chiara of Clare. And we went up into the mountains yesterday where he used to go to meditate. Wow. Have you been up there?
No, I didn't go to the mountains where he meditated.
you know,
I just went to the
trying to
tomb.
absorb. Yeah, that you went to the tomb and to the church.
Said some prayers.
Okay, good. Well, I thought I'd read just a little bit. Should I do this now, or should we have our walk on Wednesday first? You tell me.
Maybe do it now. Vivi's here as our walk on Wednesday, as you can
Okay,
see.
we got Vivi for walk on Wednesday. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could just quickly show you the view here if everybody wants to see. This is the Basilica di San Chiaro, which is the church of St. Clair. Over here, people are kind of going in and stuff. I don't know. And then you see over here, you got all these like olive groves going down the hill. I don't know if it's too light to see, but it's the beautiful, just scenic view of Assisi in the background. But let me see what I can read here for you. Okay, great. This is a book. It just kind of breaks down his teachings in different ways, and in different lessons, and it talks about his views on humility. You know, he had so much to say. But this is coming from the what they do is they try to make these like practical lessons, like we have, like, you know, takeaways. You with me?
I am.
Okay. Okay.
I'm excited.
Don't be worried. Don't be worried. So he talks. And
I think it's all good. I'm like the most Christian Hare Krishna you will ever meet.
I'm all for it, Raghu. I'm all for it.
I'm into
Then
it.
you're gonna like this, I think. So these are the Franciscan monks, and they're just trying to, you know, like Saint Francis, his humility, his austerity, they were extreme, but he's trying to show like how you can take that and apply it in a practical way in your life without becoming a Franciscan monk and all that. So I think this is good for our listeners. So
Okay.
he's sharing a little bit about St. Francis's humility and how we may take that principle and apply it in a practical way in our life if we live in this world and so on. So he says, you don't have to scourge your body or enter into a monastery to grow in humility. The opportunities to learn humility are all around us. Here are some ways to take stock of the pride in your life and confront it with the discipline of humility. You ready? Here's number one.
Okay.
When you're around other people, do you insist on promoting your opinions, driving home your points, and being the last one to talk on an issue? Or
Yes,
are
I
you
do.
content? Yeah, okay.
Yes, I do.
Yes. Check. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I'm guilty. Or are you content to let others have their say without any commentary or criticism from yourself? That's interesting, right? This is a practical way to look at one's own humility. Here's another one. How do you feel about the driver who cuts you off on the freeway?
Hate him.
Are you
hate him.
shocked? Are you shocked by his insensitivity to your rights as a driver? Or how do you feel about the family which grabs the restaurant table that you had eyed for yourself? Or furious, what do you feel about the handicapped person who forces you to walk more slowly or delays your ascent up a flight of stairs to an important meeting?
Drives me insane. Yeah.
Do you easily get bent out of shape and angry about slight inconveniences? This is practical, you know, humility. It's true, right? A humble person kind of lets that go. And if we're not letting those things go, it's just right on the surface. We got this pride. We're not even deep seated, right? Here's another one. How do you treat others? How do you relate to the person taking your orders at a fast food restaurant drive-through window? Are you brusque and insolent? Why are you laughing?
What are these
They got a
monks
little breast?
doing at the drive-throughs? What are these-
They're trying to share it for their congregation. You know, they don't go to the drive-throughs, I don't think.
Okay.
He says, or how do you interact with the cashier at the local convenience store? Are you all business, or do you have time to exchange a smile, share a word of encouragement, or offer a compliment? Do you demand polite service? Do you demand polite service, or are you thankful for it? How we treat others, particularly others who we view as somehow less important than ourselves, is a crucial test of our humility. One of the first steps in Francis's life of faith was to kiss a leper. When's the last time you kissed a leper, Raghu?
On a regular basis, truthfully.
Okay, just checking. Who are the lepers in our lives, and how do we kiss them? Right. So that now it makes it practical, right? Who are the lepers in our lives, and how do we kiss
Dr. Justin is my leper.
them?
I kiss him regularly.
Very good. All right. I just want to share a little something, you know, Francesco related. But I think that was nice. You know, I think that was a practical way to begin. You know, even just on the very surface, we got to start digging deeper, and then you know, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's what, you know, by by hearing Bhagavatam and associating with it, and getting contemplative. We got to get a little contemplative. There's got to be a little silence. Once I'm picking up on this monk stuff over here.
Wouldn't it be great to do like a switcheroo? Like, okay, 1 week, all you Franciscan monks, you guys live in a Krishna temple, and 1 week we all go live like Franciscan monks. Wouldn't that be cool?
Or even do it together, like invite them to live in our ashram, and then they invite us to live in their ashram. Think it'll get crazy?
We're faith swingers.
Okay, let's keep it cool, Robbie.
Just swap religions for a week. Yeah, it would be fun to have them over, invite them over,
understand why they do what they do, how they operate.
Yeah.
I tell you, but I'll tell you something. That Samadhi Mandir of St. Francis, that place was beautiful. Like, it really was. It, like, that place, you look at it and it could have been built like yesterday. It could have been built like 2,000 years ago, the way it's designed and everything. Very tasteful. It was like somehow dark and hidden, but bright and light at the same time. It was really the devotion in there you could feel, and his presence you could feel. Francis.
That's incredible. I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're there. And we have to do a day trip there maybe next year on our
Absolutely.
retreat.
Absolutely.
All right,
we went. I'll share. Should I share?
What else you got? What else you got?
Well, the first night we got here, we got here in about, I don't know, I think our train arrived around 5, or we checked in with 6. It was just evening, 7:30 or something like that. And Alice and Gita Priya and myself were walking down through the olive groves. There's this path, and we're talking. We were about to get to some church, which was the church that St. Francis rebuilt. He had this vision there. It was like a broken down church, and he felt Jesus on the cross speaking to him to restore the church, which had a double meaning of also like restoring like the Christian church, not just that church physically.
Right.
But that church is there, and it's really beautiful. It's kind of like, it's got this courtyard that you can peek in, you can kind of see in. It's got an opening, like an archway, and then it's a very small church, and then you see in there. And we're probably talking too loud because we didn't realize the courtyard was right there, and we were kind of laughing and talking. And then we turned the corner, and boom, we're right in the mass, like right there was like a ceremony going on. And as soon as we turned that corner, then like it had a really good sound system, and there was a monk in there, and he said something in Italian, and then he started to sing this song. He was playing the organ and singing the song. The guy was so sweet. It was like ridiculous, and he was just pouring his heart out, and then and Alice was translating for us, But it's sweet moments here. Some of these people are very deep in their spirituality. There's no question, and you can feel it.
So where do you go next, Kaustubha?
Roma.
You're going to Roma tomorrow. All right.
Today. Today.
Oh, today. Okay, great. Yeah. We'll give us a little tour of Rome.
We'll be reporting from Roma. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. Now let's have our walk on Wednesday.
Walk on Wednesday today is Vivi, who's from
like our retreat hero right now, right?
Yeah, she had she's from Miami, relocated to Zurich, Switzerland. She works in a bank. Raghunath Swami calls her Banky Bihari. Thought it was funny. And then and she got to manage
works at the bank when she's not like faking it and listening to Wisdom of the Sages. Yeah,
she's always listening. I don't know how you get away with that. I've never had like a corporate job like that, but welcome, Vivian.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you got to get close into this microphone. We only have one mic.
Okay.
And first of all, I think the first question is, how do you do it? How do you work in a bank and maintain a bhakti practice? I mean, what kind of bank is it? What do you do? And then I'm going to have you tell us about the near disasters that almost happened due to the Wisdom of the Sages retreat. Okay.
What do I work in? I work in one of the largest banks in Switzerland, and I work in a team that manages money for really, really wealthy people. So it's the highest type of client service, because you're dealing with really rich people and they expect the best service, and it's all about taking care of their wealth and managing their money.
All right. So how do you compartmentalize your spiritual life and working with people who are just very, very wrapped up in money?
Well, it's been a challenge, and it's been a long road to where I am now. So I've been doing this job for 20 years, and I've had a lot of struggle with it for a long time. And in 2017, I had like a burnout and a breakdown because I couldn't handle the pressure, and I took a year off to find myself and to find what I really wanted to do. But it was actually more like a year and a half. And then, to make a long story short, I kind of saw that I could bring my bhakti into my workplace. And
Well, how did you? Because we didn't even know each other. How did you meet you met some random Swiss devotee?
Yeah, so in 2014, I did a 200-hour teacher training at a studio in Zurich, just a generic studio, and it was okay. But my favorite part of the whole teacher training was the philosophy. And the philosophy was given by a devotee, Radha that lives in Zurich with her husband. And she gave a class in the Bhagavad Gita, and everyone was restless. It was after lunch. They wanted to sleep or they wanted to do yoga. And I was just enthralled by,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was captivated, and I was just asking questions. And it was like, what is this book? And what are you saying? And it's all the things that I've been waiting to hear my whole life. And the answers, she was scratching the surface of answers or questions that I had been asking myself for a long, long time. And so that was my first kind of introduction. And after class, I grabbed her and I'm like, I need more of this. And who are you? And what's your number? And how can we stay in contact? And I need to, ask you, I have so many questions.
The first times historically a person has chased a Hare Krishna instead of the Hare Krishna chasing
the other way.
person. Okay. And then Vivi came to India for the 300-hour, but I didn't know you. You didn't know me.
So Radha Kripa, who knows you, told me, well, if you like this, I can only give you so much. There's a really great teacher. He's doing his first yoga retreats or teacher training, 300 teacher training at the Govardhan Eco Village. And it was the first year you did the training. And I'm like, okay, if you say it, I trust you, I'm going. Wow. And then I signed up.
So you didn't even know Raghunath before you came out?
I didn't know Raghunath. And I was on the bus, and Justin, who you had on the show, the tattoo artist, Dustin. Dustin sat next to me on the bus, and he looks at me, and he's all hardcore. And
hold on, what bus? When? Bus
from Mumbai to Govardhan Eco Village.
Oh, you stayed in a hotel the night and then you all came up.
Yeah.
Everybody stays at a hotel the night before, and then they all come together on a bus.
And Dustin looks at me, he says, so how did you get into the hardcore scene? Or how do you know Raghunath? And I'm like, who? He's like, that's hardcore? The teacher.
What do you mean?
And I'm like, I don't know who the teacher is. And he's like, you came? You don't know who Raghunath is? And I'm like, no. And he starts laughing and he starts telling people, and everyone's laughing. And I'm like, what have I done?
You don't know what you've gotten yourself into.
Well, there's an interesting twist to the story. So Vivi very kindly managed our Italian retreat, and she always sets up programs for me in Italy. And so she was having a breakdown, and I just want to pick her brain because I think we all go into breakdowns occasionally where it's just like the material energy is too overwhelming. And that's when you start making advancement in spiritual life. How am I going to cope with this? Am I going to fall flat on my face, or am I going to try to apply the principles of the Bhagavatam? Can you tell us how your world was falling apart?
Yeah, it was really challenging the last few months. And I have a high pressure job, and I do a lot of things, and we're understaffed now. So it was all me, but I really wanted to serve and do this retreat with you. And so the opportunity was perfect. So I was really managing two things at the same time, and managing the retreat and the first one. I mean, I had help, but we were doing a lot and we were talking every day, and it was very time consuming, and I had to leave a lot of things from my day job, or I would have to do my day job at night or the retreat stuff at night. So I was working a lot and missing things. And there was one day that or a week, actually, I was so focused on the retreat. I almost lost, there was something, but I almost lost almost $50 million.
Just $50 million bucks.
Excuse me.
And
I hope you're not invested in her bank, by the way, because you might have lost all your money.
I didn't. I saved it at the end. But because I was so busy, I almost lost the money. But it was funny because I'm like, here I am dealing with, small
things like, hey, is there any soap in my rooms, Vivi? Can you make sure there's soap? I like a good, natural, biodegradable soap.
Yeah, or like, how much do I have to give? 500 or is it 1,000? Like talking about this, and I'm like, I'm about to lose $50 million. I'll get back to you. But I was trying to be I had to be super nice and servile at work. And I also didn't want to stress out and scream at people from the retreats. And so I had to manage like, yes, I'll get to you. I'm so sorry. You're right. I'll come back as soon as possible. And meanwhile, I'm scrambling to like not lose money and get fired from my job. So
did the Bhagavatam principles that we study on a regular basis, that she never misses a show, and she's been with the show for before it started, when it was Super Soul Sacred Sangha. So my question is, did you get to apply any of this stuff?
Yeah.
Were there any success stories
Absolutely. there? It's funny because listening to this every day, I certainly felt, a certain pride after, like, at times I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm so yogic. I get this information. Everything is cool. Nothing bothers me. I'm so spiritual. And then it's times like this and challenges, when they come, it's like, oh, everything I've been hearing, everything I've been studying, it's a preparation for these crazy catastrophes. And so I thought my life was smooth. And then this was just a hurricane and a storm and everything all at once. And all these things that I've been listening to and learning from you guys, I had to put them into practice for real in daily life during this retreat. And it was really stressful. It was a lot of work and I had many breakdowns, and I'm sorry for all the offenses.
It's okay.
I didn't notice a thing.
I did. We're totaling them up, and then we had a big I'm sorry festival. We let them stack. We didn't have time to say I'm sorry for every day at every moment. It was just going on too much, but I think if you would nullified it by the end of the retreat.
I think if you would have lost the 50 million, that would have been a sign to just like pull a St. Francis and just like leave it all behind and wander off to India or the Himalayas or something like that.
Buona notte.
I think I would have had to.
Yeah.
Here's my theory, Kaustubha. When people get serious about spiritual life, they experience great joy. And I think a lot of have been there. We experience this romance, this dance with the unknown, with this dance with Krishna, and it's exciting and it's lovely and it's charming. We feel a release from our material pressures and pains, and a special joy that we've never felt anywhere before. And then as we keep going, expecting that joy to happen every day, Krishna starts stirring stuff up. And then all explosions, hand grenades, landmines, sinkholes, they're all started happening at once. And he wants to see how serious you are. And it's like these really great opportunities to make lots of advancement, or to just say, you know what, I'm going too far in this. And Krishna's created this sinkhole, and I would be much better without Krishna consciousness.
Life was better without all the spirituality.
Yeah. I mean, those sinkholes, those hand grenades, they come anyway. But when you're applying it to your path, you really get to apply the Bhagavatam and act better than your normal default often. Okay. So I think because Vivi's serious and she wanted to take on this service, then it just Krishna turned up the heat. And I feel like she did really well with it. I want to thank her.
I wondered how old she was when she started this job. She looks, I mean, she's been doing it for
I know.
20
She
years.
said she's
like
20 years ago.
When
did you start? She started when she was 7.
Okay.
I started working when I was 25, so I'm 47 now.
Oh,
see, it
looks
good on you. This bhakti looks good on you, Vivi.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Vivi.
Thanks for doing this every day.
We appreciate you. All right. Stay there if you want. All right. So, yeah, I think that is a real thing. Krishna turns up the heat. If you're going through some hell right now, you should understand it's because you're sincere. Okay. Right? You're sincere, and Krishna wants to see you grow and blossom.
Does he ever do it if you're insincere? Like maybe he tries to make you more sincere?
I find that Krishna, if you're like romancing Krishna, he gives you what you need to keep going in there. And then when you start getting sincere about your spiritual life, then that's when he turns it up. At least that's what I've noticed. He gives everybody that little bliss, that romantic honeymoon period.
Then he starts to wring all of the material attachments out of you, just like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know what? After you pass that test, it comes back. The honeymoon, it's an ever reoccurring honeymoon. Like people do those. Let's do a second honeymoon. I've had 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 20th honeymoons with Krishna. I'm in one right now. I'm in a honeymoon with Krishna right now. We did our puja this morning. We just chanted mantras this morning. It was a beautiful honeymoon this morning. And I'm excited to love Krishna. It's fun. It's joyous. All right. So let's go into the Bhagavatam. What do you say, Kaustubha?
New chapter today.
New chapter. In this chapter, let's see. Hold on a second. How do you do this again?
You got to take responsibility today, right? Because I got no computer with me.
You got no computer? I know. Hold on a second.
Canto 3, chapter 23, I believe.
3.
Here,
It's called the.
I got you. 20, chapter 23. Devahuti's lamentation.
That's it. Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 23.
And
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamurandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances to them. By the way, I want to mention, sometimes once we do get into this program of hearing the Bhagavatam every day, it's almost like driving 90 miles per hour. If there's another car next to you driving 90, it doesn't seem like you're going fast, but you're going very, very fast. Yeah. So sometimes we get into this Bhagavatam and it becomes normalized, like the car driving 90. You should understand it's not normal. Things are happening, things are shifting, things are changing. You don't notice them. But what happens is we stop to appreciate what's happening. And then we say, well, maybe this stuff isn't doing anything anyway. And we get out of the car. If you've ever stood on the side of the road and seen a car going 90 next to you, it's like, phew, it's super fast. And it happens very easy. Once you get out of that groove of hearing and chanting, the material energy quickly is like a blanket that just covers you and lays a few more blankets on top of you. And so don't underestimate the power of Maya, and don't underestimate the speed that the soul's making evolution by hearing on a regular basis, trying to apply, trying to chant the Maha Mantra on a regular basis, even if you're not doing many rounds. If you're listening to on Zoom, we have our Zoom packed. If you're listening on Zoom, you have to chant one round at least on your malas. That's the Maha Mantra, one mala, 108 times. So if you're not doing that, Zoomers, I know, because I keep this camera on all day long and I follow you around. So the Devahuti's lamentation, let's get into this. Text 1.
Well, maybe we just a little context. This is one chapter that I don't even know how to explain. It's very interesting. There are definitely some lessons that we can take out of it. And what's going to happen is Devahuti is now married to Cardinal Muni. He's this sage that lives in the forest, living a very austere life of meditation. She's a princess, but like a yogi princess. And she just gives up everything. She gives up the comforts of the palace. She gives up tasty foods. She gives up all the kind of I don't know, is cosmetics the right word? But like all the kind of
all the perks that a princess gets.
That's right, yeah. And she's living there like she's growing dreadlocks, right? She's not even combing her hair anymore. She's taken up that sadvi life, like full on, and she really surrenders. And I think that's part of what we need to learn. And it doesn't just mean someone could take this and say, well, you see, the wife is supposed to serve the husband like this. But I think it has a lot to do with how we're meant to serve Guru, or how we're meant to serve God, with the kind of full-on dedication that she had, So that's the first part of it.
Okay. So this is going on. This isn't going on Earth, right? This is going on some higher planet. These are higher beings.
They say Bindu Sarovar, it's there, in Orissa. So that's the question. You keep asking me this question. I don't have a good answer for it yet. So we got to look into it. We got to ask someone.
I think there might be like a parallel universe.
Ask Amarendra.
You know what?
Right?
That's a great idea.
Reach out.
He's giving me free access to ask him any peculiar questions. And this
Well,
can
here
be
we
one.
go. This is a great question.
Okay.
We're
All
not
right.
going to elder. We're going to someone that's half our age at most, or something like that, right? But he should be able to help us.
He's our guy. Okay, text 1. Maitreya continued. After the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Shiva, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband.
Well, that's
Oh,
even
Vidur-
right there in that verse, right? It said that she could understand the desire. Is that what it said?
She could understand the desires of her husband and served him
Yeah.
with love constantly.
That there's a formula there right there. Like, what is bhakti? It means you're trying to understand the desires of God, the desires of Guru, the desire of those that you're trying to serve, and then you serve with love. Right? There's details in all these verses that are like potent. Okay.
Vidura, because Vidura it's being explained to Vidura. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love, and with sweet words.
They sound like all of this is how you serve, right? When you and I, when we got bhakti yoga for us, right? It wasn't, it was like, it had a lot to do with how we served others and we were trained to do it, right? Like,
Right.
of course, there's the
Yeah.
famous pizza incident that you had,
My
things like
famous
that,
pizza.
right? But yeah, remember that one?
Yeah. You serve the
You-
desires
my
instead
guru
of
is being
just serving as you know how to serve. And you start to try to get into the mind of the people you're serving. And you relish that serving.
Yeah,
What were
particularly.
you saying yesterday about Tukaram? What did you say, Justin, yesterday? Tukaram was saying this thing. When I hear that a senior devotee needs some service, I drop everything. Was that it? I drop everything and focus on that service for as long as that person needs service. It's a great way to be.
That's exactly what I think we could derive from these first couple of verses, is that bhakti really is and when we say bhakti, we mean devotion, right? Like pure devotion in the heart. It means the highest yogic accomplishment, where I've given up I've let go of all material desires. I'm no longer being controlled by my mind and senses. My heart, with love, as these verses are saying, right, is becoming attached to God and every living being. But it has so much to do. It's other paths of yoga, they focus more on the strength of the yogic practitioner, their own strength. And in bhakti yoga, it involves one's own effort for sure, but it has a lot to do with grace. It has a lot to do with receiving the blessings. You find someone that has bhakti in their heart. You find someone that you have faith that this person really understands this and they're practicing, and they have something internal that I would like to emulate. And then you serve them. And you serve them in the mood that these texts are saying. You try to understand you listen carefully so you understand their desire, right? And then you try to serve that desire with intimacy, with what else did it say? Intimacy and with love.
It's actually
from one heart to the next.
It's actually quite an amazing theory. Is we're not even trying to serve Krishna. We're trying to serve Krishna's devotees. And we're trying to get their mercy. We're trying to get their blessings. We're trying to get them to be pleased with us. Why? Because they have bhakti and they can give us bhakti. If they have some potency, they give us that potency just through their appreciation. And it's Krishna working through that chain that makes us make advancement. Krishna is not interested in you serving him. He's interested in you serving the devotees. It's quite amazing.
It's a very personal type of yoga.
And you know what's good also is because sometimes in the name of loving God, you can start to hate everybody else. You just sort of like, well, this person's not real. This person's not bona fide. This person's a fake. This person's inauthentic. I believe in God. Sometimes people do that. They have this Madonna whore concept. Like people are either pure or they're just like the lowest. And so oftentimes they have this theory running in their head that no one's good. There's only God. There's just me and God. Maybe there's a couple saints up there, but they're all dead.
Only God can judge me.
And what it does is it really brings it back to there are devotees. I mean, I'm looking at the Zoom group now. I want to serve all these people. I want to get their blessings. I want to get their blessings because I know Krishna works through the blessings of those devotees. And that's how I make advancement.
I love it. You know what else I'm realizing right now, Raghunath? Is
What?
that when I looked at this chapter this morning, like, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to explain? But because I'm in your association, we're doing this together, immediately, like all these things are coming right to the surface.
Because of me, little old me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not, bhakti is not something where there's certainly solitude can be practiced and as part of your practice, but it's really about connecting with others and how you connect with others that we kind of elevate ourselves. And so as soon as I'm in your association and we're talking about Bhagavatam, I may be trying to figure this stuff out on my own, get nowhere. And then as soon as you bring two devotees together, then Krishna begins to reveal himself. He likes that. Krishna likes that when people come together, to become conscious of him.
The devotees have bhakti, and therefore they can give it away. If I don't have it, I can't give it away. Krishna doesn't have Krishna bhakti. He's not giving Krishna bhakti away.
It's true. It's true.
Krishna has love for the devotees. So when you worship Krishna, you can learn how to love. You can pray to Krishna, help me learn to love these devotees. Help me learn to be tolerant if they have some shortcoming. It's amazing because, we're a bunch of dented cans and we're trying our best. I get that. And it's my nature. I don't want to say it's my nature because it's not my real nature. It's my conditioned nature. Even if someone is really good to me, even if someone tries their hardest, even if someone will bend over backwards, and even if some person is like dedicated their life to spiritual practices, I'll be like, okay, but here's what I've noticed about their shortcomings. It's like I've trained myself to be like a fly on shit or a fly on stool.
Excuse me, right? We have children listening. Come on. We have children listening.
A fly on dung. A fly on dung. And it's such a bad conditioned habit that even if someone's doing so much for me, I'm gonna pass all their good things and just find that one thing they're doing wrong. And I'm gonna, what you do with your fingers on your iPhone, you squeeze it out, you zoom it in, you zoom it way out, and you place all your focus on that bad quality. It's a very, very horrible conditioned habit of the conditioned soul. And we're going to just do the opposite. We're going to practice the opposite. Any shortcoming the devotees have, I'm just going to overlook. And I'm going to go right for their good qualities. And I'm going to zoom in on that and blow that way up. Good way to be. Good way to live your life.
Love it.
All right. Continuing on, my friend.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I don't have any timepiece with me. So that's on you today, too.
He has no timepiece. He's been in Italy too long. He calls it a timepiece.
Normally, I have my computer in front of me. I don't have a watch, so...
We're doing good. We got 20 minutes.
Okay, good.
Ovidura Devahuti served her husband. Okay. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, and sinful activities and vanity. So these are the enemies: lust, pride, envy, greed, inappropriate. How do we translate sin?
We had different things for that.
Crooked activities, harmful activities, and vanity, right? The type of narcissism. I think you said
crippled, but then you changed it. Right?
We changed it. They harm us. We don't call them sinful because that makes it sound like we're doing something against God. We're doing something against us. That's what we mean by sin. Sin means that's old fashioned. We're not going to use that word. We're doing something like when I drive on the wrong side of the road in traffic. It's not like it's a sinful act or an illegal act. I'm harming myself. That's me. So
what I'm sorry, continue.
I was just going to say that these are the ongoing enemies of the pure soul. The soul is pure. We're born pure. We are pure spiritual beings. We're part of God. But every soul, due to contact with the material nature, they get covered by a blanket. One of the blankets is lust. Another blanket is pride. Another is envy, greed, etc. And the desire to do these activities, the desire to do activities that harm ourselves. So, and that is because we've been training ourselves to do them. So in our Bhakti-yogi and our spiritual life is a process of noticing these things that are covering us and doing what we can to start to pull ourselves out of this blanket. And what's underneath that blanket is a pure, beautiful, connected spiritual self. And here she is living in some higher planet, and she's recognizing this, and this is her real work in the world, and this is my real work in the world. This is my kids' real work in the world. In this human body, we have the opportunity to get rid of these things. It's work. Lust, pride, envy, greed. These things have been kicking my ass for years.
You know, I love what's coming out here, because it's reminding me so much. I really feel, you know, again, I didn't know what these verses were really about, but as you're reading them, I'm hearing it as really Devahuti and her service to Kardama Muni. What we're meant to gain from it, appears to me, is really how one is meant to serve a guru in the practice of bhakti. And when I say guru, I mean anyone that is transferring true spiritual knowledge and sentiment from one to another, right? So, and again, this isn't something that you just, this practice, it's not like, you know, if people are coming to the practice of bhakti and they're not so well versed in it, haven't read so deep into it, it's natural that we may come and think, I want to do that spiritual practice, and then I'm going to be this glowing spiritual person and everybody's going to recognize it. But you know, the way that it's practiced is you find that person that's got that spiritual glow going and that's really embodying it. And then you become their humble servant. And to become that humble servant, you have to give up in order to be able to do that service in a pleasing way, in a successful way, in a way that even that person wants you around. You have to start letting go of all your lower qualities, you know, consciously, and then through the service it manifests. When you start thinking more about, I want to serve and please this person, than thinking about, I want to be served and be pleased, then you're beginning to move forward on this path, and you're opening yourself up to the potency of all the practices of hearing and chanting, etc. And so we're hearing these verses that are describing Devahuti's service. It's giving us a very clear picture of how one's meant to serve an advanced Bhakti-yogi in the practice of Bhakti-yoga.
It's good just to see how all these things have tripped me up in my life, causing myself to be like a buffoon and lament and like, what was I thinking? Lust. How many, I could write a book on how lust has screwed with me and just made me plow through people and make a fool out of myself. Pride, so many times. Envy, meaning like unhappy for other people's success. I want what they have. Ultimately, all these things, engaging in all of them, just make me more sad. They just make me more sad. So that's why there's warning. That's why there's a light on the dashboard of my car. Hey, you're running out of gas. It's not just like I got to poke that light out with a screwdriver. It's I got to get gas. I got to get to the root of this. Greed consumes people. You know, there's never enough. Okay. The daughter of Manu, who is fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater even than providence, greater than fate. Thus she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time. Yeah. So in the relationship, he was the guru.
Yeah, and by my fate, like I may have all this karma and I may have a fate to live out based on my previous activities, but if I completely devote myself to connecting through service, then my whole fate can change.
Mm. So having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. So she did all this like type of fasting and penance, which is, you know, it happens, and there's some types of practices where we do that. Seeing her condition, Kardama, the husband, the foremost of all celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love. Kardama Muni said,
this is the real guru-disciple relationship. The disciple is serving fully selflessly. Even you can see here, not even caring for her own comforts or really even bodily needs. And he's recognizing it and appreciating it and feeling love for her due to her surrender. And now he wants to reciprocate.
O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I'm very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf. Text 7. Kardama Muni continued, I've achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and God consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now, just look at them. I'm giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. Kardama Muni continued.
So the freedom from fear and lamentation is what's going to be, that's what he's blessing her with.
So these are the two things in the mind, right? There's fear of the future, right? Some dread.
Yeah.
And there's lamentation of the past. Ah, the good old days. That was great, right? What a relief to get rid of those two things. Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions.
So the gifts that one's blessed with through bhakti are far more valuable than any material blessing or gift.
Right before the show, because I'm in this, Switzerland's a very old place. There's like, in Zurich, you can go to the center of the town where you see the layers of civilizations that have lived here. Like the Turks lived here, and the Confederate Helveticas lived here, and the Romans lived here. So there's just like layers of cities on top of cities conquered by new. It's like a world of just like almost, it's like sophisticated animals, just like fighting for territory, fighting for food, fighting for sex, defending themselves. And it's been going on forever. So I was looking about Lugano, where I am, and there's like, yeah, you can find civilizations in Lugano that go back to the Bronze Age, the Copper Age. I was just like, gee, and then there was this war and the war before that. And I was just like, this is just like the history of the world. People are just fighting for food, for sex, for territory, for some type of, material comfort. And then all of a sudden you come to, and you meet some sages. Now, of course, there's sages everywhere. But imagine when you come to India and you see like a very, very sophisticated society of sages who don't want what you want. And I think that's sort of our experience now. And it was Vivi's experience. She runs into Radha Kripa, this lady from Vivi, and she's like, who is this woman that doesn't want what everyone else wants? That's taking shelter from sacred book, that's controlling the senses instead of indulging the senses. That's trying to live with some internal happiness instead of trying to run all over town to find happiness, who doesn't want what the vox populi or the whole of the world is chasing. And it's attractive, and it's almost like you're almost like a little shocked by it. It's what like when Valmiki met Narada. Valmiki was a criminal. He was also one of these invaders of land, of people's property. Then he meets a sage, and you don't know what to do with it. What do you do with it? How do you digest this? What is this person? Where are they getting their joy from? They don't have the normal things. I'm sure you ran into it. I definitely ran into it when I first met monks and saw how they lived. Where are they getting their pleasure from? And it's quite shocking. How do we get talking about this? That boulder rolled down the hill, and I don't even know where it started from.
It's okay. You can read the next verse.
Okay. Where are we on here? Text.
The Kardama is going to bless her.
Okay. Kardama continued. I achieved the blessings. Text 7.
No, text 9.
Text 9. Thank you, Mayra. Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. Devahuti said, my dear husband, O best of the Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection and are the master of all infallible mystic powers. Imagine being married to a mystic. All mystical powers, and all of them. Because you are under the protection of Yoga Maya, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill, since children are a great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband. Devahuti continued, my dear Lord, I am struck by excited emotion for you. Therefore, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the Shastra, so that my skinny body, emaciated though unsatisfied passion, may be rendered fit for you. So she's like a rail thin from all these austerities. Also, my Lord, please think of
She's
a
not even
suitable
thinking,
house.
she's even in this case, she's not even thinking like she wants to be beautiful for her own glorification, but she wants to, it's for service,
Yeah.
for him.
Maitreya continued. O Vidura, seeking to please his beloved wife, the sage Kardama exercised his yogic power and instantly produced an aerial mansion that could travel at his will. So they wanted a little love shack. If you want to put it bluntly, they wanted a love shack. And, if I'm to arrange a love shack, it's probably going to be some crappy Airbnb. But if you mess around with Kardama Muni and he creates one because he's a mystic, he creates what was it called? An aerial
mansion.
An aerial mansion. Maitreya continued, O Vidura, seeking to please his beloved wife, the sage Kardama exercises yogic power. I just read that. For an aerial mansion. Not even a mansion, an aerial mansion. It was a wonderful structure, bedecked with all sorts of jewels, adorned with pillars of precious stones, and capable of yielding whatever one desired. It was equipped with every form of furniture and wealth, which tended to increase in the course of time. The castle was fully equipped with all necessary paraphernalia, and it was pleasing in all seasons. It was decorated all around with flags, festoons. I say the word festoon a lot reading the Bhagavatam. I don't think I've ever said the word festoon before I read the Bhagavatam. Festoons, an artistic work of variegated flower colors. I also say the word variegated a lot. It was further embellished with wreaths of charming flowers that attracted sweetly humming bees, with tapestries of linen, silk, and various other fabrics. The palace looked charming with beds, couches, fans, and seats, all separately arranged in 7 stories. Its beauty was enhanced by artistic engravings here and there on the walls. The floor was of emerald with coral daisies. What's that word, Mara? Daisies? Dices? Diasis?
Diocese.
Diasis? Diasis. The palace was very beautiful with its coral thresholds at the entrance and its doors bedecked with diamonds. Gold pinnacles crowned its dome of sapphire. With the choicest rubies set in its diamond walls, it appeared as though possessed of eyes. It was furnished with wonderful canopies and greatly valuable gates of gold. Here, there is that palace where multitudes of live swans and pigeons, as well as artificial swans and pigeons, so lifelike that the real swans rose above them again and again, thinking them live birds like themselves. Thus, the palace vibrated with the sounds of these birds. The castle had pleasure grounds. What do you think that means, pleasure grounds?
Isn't that gardens, probably, stuff like that? It's pleasing when you go into them, right? The grounds.
Are we being naive here, Mara? What's a pleasure ground?
No.
Resting chambers. Is that a bedroom? Bedroom. So resting chamber is different than a bedroom because the bedroom is mentioned next. And inner and outer yards designed with an eye to comfort. All this caused astonishment to the sage himself. When he saw Devahuti,
he blew himself away with his yogic power. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
He must have meditated something to create something tremendous, and he couldn't even imagine it was like how tremendous it was.
When he saw Devahuti looking at the gigantic opulent palace with a displeased heart, Kardama Muni could understand her feelings because he could study the heart of anyone. Thus, he personally addressed his wife as follows. My dear Devahuti, you look very much afraid. First bathe in Lake Bindu Sarovara, created by Lord Vishnu himself, which can grant all desires of a human being, and then mount this airplane. The lotus-eyed Devahuti accepted the order of her husband. Because of her dirty dress and the locks of matted hair on her head, she did not look very attractive. Her body was coated with a thick layer of dirt, and her breasts were discolored. She dove, however, into the lake, which contained the sacred waters of the Saraswati. In a house inside the lake, she saw 1,000 girls, all in the prime of youth and fragrant like lotuses. Seeing her, the damsel suddenly rose and said with folded hands, "We are your maidservants. Tell us what we can do for you." Sometimes we see in India people who've just been doing these austerities for a long time. One time I was in Vrindavan, actually. And I was just standing there chanting by the banks of the Yamuna. I turn around and there was this guy, skinny like a rail, completely naked, long hair, his face covered with ash. He looked like a ghost. And I just was, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I turned around and went, yeah! I like screamed like I saw a ghost. So imagine she was like doing the same thing. She's like,
She's
totally
gonna
freaked out.
she's gonna get a makeover now. Underwater makeover.
That could be a great reality show. Underwater makeover.
1,000 maidservants come out and take care of you.
You know, we're gonna have to stop there. Mary.
right.
You have any good
Listen, you
takeaways
hear
for
the
today?
bells? You guys hear the bells?
Oh,
Yeah.
see, that's the bell. Imagine if we had those bells every day.
That'd be perfect.
Oh, you hear them too? We're getting bells too. All right, what do we got, Mary?
Okay. When was the last time you kissed a leper?
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
That's an important. That's important meditation.
If you're going through hell, you should understand it's because you're sincere.
Yep.
We all have recurring honeymoons with Krishna.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the power of Maya or the speed of evolution from hearing the Bhagavatam daily. Maya's no joke. I think that would be a good tattoo.
Maya's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Maya's no joke. By serving the devotee, you serve Krishna.
Yep.
Zoom out. Don't focus on the fault.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Association and serving advanced devotees increases bhakti in the heart. We don't want what everyone wants. And taste bhakti, share bhakti.
Taste bhakti, share bhakti. Woo!
We have a
T-shirt.
bunch. Yeah, we have 2 Bhakti recovery group meetings today. 1 p.m. for everyone and a women's meeting tonight at 9:30 p.m. And also Trevor Vaughn is doing an asana class today at 8 a.m.
All right.
Oh,
So,
We're taking off early in the morning, heading to Kamaniya and Keshvacharya's house on the way to Zurich. So we're going to be live from there today. I want to thank you
Premahara.
tomorrow. Premahara.
Premahara.
No, Premahara is the band. Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The 2 of them have
Premahara.
a band called Premahara.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to head out, cross the Alps, say hi to Julia.
Julia.
Julia came on the retreat. Little Krishna is stuck in her heart and she can't get him out. She's struggling with it. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to categorize bhakti in her life now. What is she going to do?